Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you the way that I like to change my strings when I'm changing strings for a steel string guitar, whether that's an acoustic guitar or even an electric. As long as the tuning pegs are sticking up vertically out of the headstock, you can use this technique. And this is a way of changing strings I learned from my pal John Standifer. It's very easy to do, and I think it really helps keep the strings locked in and staying in tune better than some other ways that I've seen it where people just string it through and start spinning it. So you're going to need a set of steel strings, of course. I like to use these Elixir phosphor bronze. I use 12s on my acoustics and electrics. And you don't really need anything else, but if you want to, I would say the other tools that are useful, number one would be one of these little handy string changing tools, which has a string clipper on one end and also a string winder. Okay, so that's optional, but it definitely helps. I'm going to be using that. The other thing that I use sometimes too is a wire cutter to cut the strings, but you really don't have to have any other tools. You could just do this with your hands, but I'm going to be using those tools. So let's go ahead and dive in and I'll show you how to change strings. So let's first look at a few ways you can get the bridge pins out using a few different tools. This is my string winder, and it's got a little built-in bridge pin remover that goes around the bridge pin, pulls out easily. You can also use a butter knife, but you want to make sure that you don't scratch up the bridge or your guitar or the bridge pins too much. So just get some leverage, pop it out. You can also use a spoon to do the same thing. So you want to get a little bit of leverage against one of the other bridge pins and you can pop it right out. And you can also find something else that works that's not metal. This is something I found in our kitchen that's made of wood. It seems to work well too to get a little bit of leverage. Next, what I like to do is take my strings out of the package first, and I'm going to lay them down on a table or a bench in the opposite order of what I'm going to change them. So you're going to see that I'm going to wind up with the 6th string on top. That's what I'm going to change first. So first thing you're going to do is tune down the string till it's very slinky. You don't want to have any tension on that string because we're going to cut it. You don't want it to snap anywhere. So I'm just going to take my wire cutter and cut that string right around the sound hole like this. Okay, next up what we're going to do is remove the bridge pin, and it takes a little bit of effort to get that out sometimes. So get the bridge pin out, take that cut part of the string and put it to the side. And then the other thing I really like to do that helps keep my space organized and helps me not get confused of which strings are used strings, which ones are new strings, is I take that old string, I like to wind it up. All right, just kind of wind it up, fold it up, and put it somewhere out of the way. Start a pile for yourself of the old strings. Next, make sure you've got the correct string. So this is the 6th string. It's the heaviest gauge. You can always check in the string package to make sure you've got the right gauge. I'm going to go ahead and unwind this. Get the string to sort of shoot out like that. And now what we're going to do is take the ball end and put that into the hole that's in the bridge. So you want to line it up with the hole. What's important is as you put the ball end down into the hole, you don't want there to be any slack against the tip of the bridge pin. So no slack in there. Go ahead and pull it tight. Put the guitar on the ground is what I like to do. And next you want to make sure that the tuning peg on the headstock is aligned vertically, so you can put that string vertically through the tuning peg. So it takes a little bit of turning to get there. Now you're going to put that string straight through, pull it through till it's tight. Now what's important is to take a few inches of slack back, because we're going to wrap the string now clockwise over the top of the tuning peg. Okay, so one wrap over the top, put some tension on the string, and I like to bend that tag end back up. Now we're just going to tune it up tight. Make sure you keep tension on the string. You can see my right hand is holding the string tight. So we're going to wind up with one wrap over the top of the tag end and all the subsequent wraps underneath that tag end. That's what's going to help lock the string in. So it should look like this once you're done with that. One wrap on top, all the other wraps underneath. Okay, I've already changed the 5th string, so I'm going to change the 4th string now. Same process. Loosen the string so it's not tight in any way. You want to have a lot of slack when you clip this so that your string doesn't go flying and hit someone or hit the wall or hit your guitar. So go ahead and clip it. Then we're going to remove the bridge pin with any tool you like. It takes a little bit of work sometimes to get it out of there. And as you can see there, my bridge pin went flying to the ground, which is fine. You might not want to do this outside on your back porch or something where you're going to lose the bridge pin. Take the old string, wind it up. Okay, make sure it's not going to fly anywhere. Put it on your pile of used old strings that you're going to get rid of. Now make sure you got the correct string to put on. This is the 32 gauge. This is the 4th string, the D string. Go ahead and unwrap that. And once again, we're going to take the ball end of the string and line it up so that we can put it in the hole that's in the bridge. So make sure there's no slack between the ball end of the string and the tip of the bridge pin. Very important. So you can see there I'm pulling. Make sure that the string's tight. The bridge pin goes all the way in. Now we're going to make sure that the tuning peg, once again, is aligned so that the hole within the tuning peg is aligned vertically. So we can just put that string vertically through, make sure it's tight. Now here's where we're going to take a few inches of slack, bring it back through, and we're going to wrap the string clockwise around the top of the tuning peg. That's going to be the opposite direction of the way the string is going to be wound. Go ahead and bring up the tag end and then start winding it. Now what's so important is you want to make sure that all those subsequent wraps go underneath the tag end. Here you can see my string starts to come up, so I need to make sure I put that below the first wrap. That way I'm going to wind up with one wrap around the tag end on top and all the other wraps beneath the tag end. That's going to lock the string into place. Get it nice and tight, and once you've got enough tension on there, you can let go with your other hand. Then we're going to go ahead and clip the string off. You want to make sure you clip off your strings. I don't know why people ever leave the strings hanging off the headstock, but don't be one of those people. Now we're going to do the same thing with the 3rd string. So wind it down, get all the tension out of the string, make sure it's nice and loose, and then we're going to go ahead and clip it. I'm going to use my string winding tool to clip it. Same process here. Go ahead and remove the bridge pin, and I'm just going to use my string winding tool once again. Depending on your guitar and the bridge pins and which string you're changing, they can be a little bit difficult to get out, but take your time and they will come out eventually. So go ahead and remove that string. We're going to take the old string off from the headstock. Once again, wind it up, wrap it up, put it on your pile of strings, whether you're going to get those recycled at a music store or throw them in the trash. Just don't mix them up with your new strings. So now we'll put on the 3rd string. Make sure it's the correct string going in the correct place. Go ahead and unwind that string. We're going to take the ball end. That's going to go in the hole there in the bridge. As always, make sure you don't have any slack or space between the tip of the bridge pin and the ball end of that string. Now I like to set the guitar down on the ground. Adjust the tuning machine in the peg so that the hole in the tuning peg is vertically oriented, so I can put the string in vertically like this. Now back the string up a few inches, and you're going to make a counterclockwise wrap over the top of the tuning peg. Keep the tension on that string, and then you can bend up the tag end. And all of these wraps we're making now should go underneath that tag end. So as you're tightening it, make sure that you have one wrap above the tag end and all the other wraps happen beneath that tag end. So if it looks like this, you've tuned it up, go ahead and clip off that string nice and close to the tuning peg there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the 2nd string. Go ahead and tune it down. Make sure there's lots of slack there. You don't want to have a lot of tension when you clip this. So once you've tuned it down, go ahead and take your wire cutter, string cutter, go ahead and clip that string. And I'm going to push down here. You'll see I'm going to push down the 3rd string because the bridge pin was coming up a bit. Now I'm going to take out the bridge pin for the 2nd string. I'm going to remove that old part of the string that I clipped. And now we're just going to make sure that the other end of the string, we take it off of the tuning peg. And as I've mentioned before, I like to wrap this up, get it out of the way, add it to my trash pile of strings here. Now make sure you're going to take the appropriate string. This is the second string. You can see here 16 gauge. And we're going to unwrap it. Follow the same process. Take the ball end, match it up with the tip of the bridge pin, and push it in with some pressure. Make sure there's no slack. Keep some tension on the string when you do that as well. Same process here. Make sure that the tuning peg is oriented so that you can put the string in vertically. Now what's going to happen when we tighten the string is that the tuning peg is going to actually move in a clockwise motion. So we want to wrap it in a counterclockwise motion. So give yourself some slack, a few inches, and make a counterclockwise loop over the top of that tuning peg. Keep the tension on the string, bend up the tag end, and then start tightening it. And you'll see that sometimes if your subsequent wraps after that first wrap around don't go underneath the tag end, you'll need to push it down and make sure that it does. From there, just go ahead and tighten it up, and you're going to repeat the same process on the first string and you'll be all done. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this technique of changing your steel strings helps you out. If you have any more questions regarding what we talked about, drop me a comment beneath the video. And remember, on those bass strings, the bottom 3 strings, when you make your first wrap or the first loop over that tuning peg, you're going to go clockwise. Now on the treble strings, the top 3 strings, your first wrap or the first loop you make over that tuning peg is going to be counterclockwise. That way your tuning machines will turn in the correct direction. So thanks again so much for watching.